Welcome to our channel where we explore biblical truth and teaching. Today we will be exploring the hidden mystery of giving. Giving is often viewed as a path to abundance, but the deeper. Many believe that giving is just about increasing, about receiving more. But what if I told you that giving is about something far greater? What if giving is not just about blessings, but about your eternity? And could your lack of giving be the very thing keeping you from heaven? Giving has a hidden mystery, one that could determine whether you make heaven or not. Today we uncover the truth before it's too late. The hidden mystery of giving, a key to eternity. Chapter 1. Giving is God's nature. At the heart of the universe is a giving God. God is the ultimate giver. The Bible declares in John 3:16, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life." His love is expressed through giving. If we claim to be his children, we must reflect his nature by becoming givers ourselves. God's very essence is giving. He gave life, breath, and ultimately his Son. Giving is not just something God does, it is who he is. The story of creation, Genesis 1, reveals God's giving. He gave humanity dominion over the earth, plants, and animals. He gave Adam and Eve everything they needed, including his presence. Chapter 2. Giving as God's nature differs from the gift of giving. While giving is God's nature, the gift of giving, Romans 12:8, is a spiritual gift bestowed upon certain individuals to excel in generosity. However, every believer is called to give, regardless of whether they possess this specific gift. Giving, as God's nature is a universal calling, while the gift of giving is a special enablement. The command to give is universal and reflects God's character. The story of the widow's mite, Mark 12:41-44, illustrates this distinction. Though she did not have the gift of giving, her sacrificial act reflected God's nature and earned Jesus' commendation. A near-death experience NDE survivor shared how, during her experience, she was shown that her small, consistent acts of giving had eternal significance, even though she never considered herself particularly generous. Chapter 3. Holiness is incomplete without giving. True holiness is not just about abstaining from sin, it also requires actively doing good. James 1:27 states, "Pure and undefiled religion before God and the Father is this, to visit orphans and widows in their trouble, and to keep oneself unspotted from the world. Without generosity, holiness remains incomplete." Biblical story. The rich young ruler, Matthew 19:16-22, was morally upright but lacked the willingness to give. Jesus told him to sell his possessions and give to the poor, revealing that his holiness was incomplete. Real-life story. A pastor once shared how his congregation's commitment to giving transformed their community. Their holiness was not just in worship, but in their tangible acts of love and generosity. Chapter 4. Lack of giving is not having love. 1 John 3:17 says, "But whoever has this world's goods sees his brother in need and shuts up his heart from him. How does the love of God abide in him?" Love is proven through action, and withholding resources is evidence of a lack of genuine love. Biblical example. The Good Samaritan, Luke 10:25-37, demonstrated love through giving his time, resources, and care to a wounded stranger. Testimony. An NDE experiencer recounted how she was shown that her refusal to help a struggling neighbor had created a spiritual blockage in her life. After repenting and giving generously, she experienced profound peace and healing. Chapter 5. Lack of giving is not having compassion. Mercy. Compassion and mercy are inseparable from giving. Jesus illustrated this in the parable of the Good Samaritan, Luke 10:30-37, where the true neighbor was the one who gave and cared. Without giving, mercy is non-existent. Biblical story. The parable of the sheep and the goats, Matthew 25:31-46, highlights how acts of mercy, including giving to the needy, determine eternal destiny. Real-life story. A businessman shared how his life changed after he began tithing and giving to the poor. He realized that his previous lack of giving stemmed from a hardened heart, but as he gave, his compassion grew. Chapter 6. Types of Unacceptable Giving. Not all giving pleases God. There are forms of giving that He rejects. 1. Partial giving, when we give but hold back from full obedience. Ananias and Sapphira, Acts 5:1-11, were struck dead for withholding part of their offering while pretending to give it all. 2. Selective giving. Giving only to those we favor while ignoring others in need. Jesus rebuked the Pharisees for this hypocrisy. Luke 14:12-14. 3. Reluctant giving. Giving with a grudging heart rather than with joy. 2 Corinthians 9:7. Testimony. An NDE survivor described being shown how her selective giving, only to causes she approved of, had limited her spiritual growth. She learned that true giving requires surrendering personal preferences. Chapter 7. Lack of giving will cause physical sickness and death. Proverbs 28:27 warns, "He who gives to the poor will not lack, but he who hides his eyes will have many curses." Failing to give invites curses that can manifest as sickness and even death. Biblical example. In 1 Kings 17, the widow of Zarephath was on the brink of starvation when Elijah asked her to give him her last meal. Her obedience led to miraculous provision. Real-life story. A woman suffering from chronic illness testified that her health improved dramatically after she began giving regularly. She believed her previous lack of giving had contributed to her sickness. Chapter 8. Lack of giving will lead to eternal damnation. Jesus made it clear in Matthew 25:41-46 that those who fail to give, feeding the hungry, clothing the naked, and caring for the needy, will be cast into hell. He said, "Depart from me, you cursed, into the everlasting fire prepared for the devil and his angels." Biblical warning. Matthew 6:19-21 urges us to store up treasures in heaven, not on earth. Giving is a way to invest in eternity. NDE testimony. A man who experienced hell during an NDE shared that he was shown how his selfishness and lack of giving had contributed to his spiritual state. He was given a second chance and now dedicates his life to generosity. A well-documented case is that of Howard Storm, a former atheist with an NDE. During his near-death experience, he saw that selfishness and a failure to love others through giving had condemned him to a dark, terrifying place. Only by calling out to Jesus and repenting did he escape. His testimony echoes the warning that neglecting generosity leads to eternal separation from God. Conclusion. Giving is not just about material increase, nor is it a moral duty. It is a matter of eternal destiny, and it is a spiritual hidden mystery with eternal implications. Those who withhold generosity risk sickness, suffering, and damnation. Giving reflects God's nature, completes our holiness, and demonstrates love and compassion. Also, unacceptable forms of giving reveal a heart not aligned with God's will, while a lack of giving can lead to physical, spiritual, and eternal consequences. But those who embrace giving reflect God's nature and secure their place in His everlasting kingdom. Let us, therefore, give with a willing heart, for in giving we truly live. As we embrace the hidden mystery of giving, we unlock the key to eternity, storing up treasures in heaven and reflecting the heart of our generous God. If this message spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, subscribe, and start giving today. Your eternity depends on it.